Disability discrimination has been a problem for a long time. For those of you who don't know, discrimination is when someone is unfairly treated because of something about them. So, for example, if you're black, you're discriminated against. Or if you're a woman, they're discriminated against a lot. So examples of discrimination against someone with a disability is they can't play on a sports team or play for a music band or like a music group. They can't go to a club or eat at a restaurant or and so the Americans with Disabilities Law that was passed in 1990, it says that anyone with a disability can't be discriminated against. And so all these examples are illegal, but all laws are broken. So a disability, the definition of a disability is a mental or physical illness that limits a person's sense, movements, thoughts, etc. So the three most common kinds of disabilities is dyslexia, Down syndrome, and ADHD. Dyslexia is when a person gets like words, letters, and numbers and like all those things mixed up. And so they have a hard time with things like school and with reading, especially. So Down syndrome is when it's dyslexia is more a mental disability, and Down syndrome is, well, it's mental and physical because it changes the appearance of the person. So Down syndrome is when a person, they can't talk properly and can't talk as well. They don't think as well, and they're like smart. You know, they're just like a human being. You know, they're really smart, but they just don't know how to communicate well, and they can't like they're what they say. Their words are really slurred, and it's hard to. It's just yeah. So their face is a little different. They have like a flatter nose, a smaller mouth, and smaller ears. And then ADHD is when a person is abnormally hyperactive. So this is a mental. This has to do with a mental difference in the brain. And then also a lot of the times people, when they hear about disability, they think of something like really extreme like Down syndrome, but it can be just as simple as wearing glasses. Wearing glasses is a disability, and a lot of the times people don't realize that, but it is. So even though all these disabilities that I just described, that people have them, so many people have them, they're all so common, and they have to work 10 times harder every day than the rest of us, and they're still discriminated against. Some 3 real-life examples of discrimination I'm going to tell you. So the first one, a woman is sitting at an airport, and she's obviously a professional because she's sitting in her business suit, maybe going on a business flight or something, a business trip, but she's in a wheelchair. And she's just sitting there minding her own business, and another person walks past her and drops a quarter in her coffee mug. So I'm sure that this person meant well, but the fact that we think that disabled people are so helpless, it's like a discrimination in itself. The second is a little girl. She sits at her school desk and divides pictures of classmates into 3 groups. Girls here, she says. Boys here, she says. And handicaps here. Carrie, no, we're not right now. Sorry about that. And then my third example is a longtime host from the Muscular Dystrophy Telethon, which is a television show. writes in a national magazine, and he says that if I had a disability, I would only be half a person. I could probably rant on about these 3 examples for a long time, but I won't. So yeah, you guys could just think about that. So some information on disabled people. So 57 million people in the US have a disability. And there's 15% of the world's population in the whole world. There's 57 million in the US, but in the whole world, not right now, please. But sorry, but in the whole world, there's about 1 billion people with a disability, and that is a lot. That's 15%. And 20% of people in poor countries have disability, and so that's a lot and the reason for that is because in poor countries, well, they're poor, and so people can't get the proper health care that they need, and so a lot of mothers, when they're pregnant, they're doing drugs or something, and it just or they're just really sick all the time, or they can't eat and drink healthy water, and so they're really sick when they give birth to their baby, and it affects the baby, and the baby has a disability. And so 98% of children in developing countries, they don't go to school because it's hard enough for someone without a disability to go to school in poor countries, and so the people with disability, they just don't because it's just too hard for them to get the money. And a lot of schools there, they don't have handicap parking lots or handicap bathroom stalls, because they're too poor to afford that kind of thing. So and a developing country is just a poor country. So, and then 1/3 of street kids are disabled, and that goes for the same reason as the sick pregnant mom, is she just dumps her child on the street because she doesn't want to take care of it, and it is born disabled. And yeah. So some big thing that happened is the Paralympics. So it's a sport that is completely dedicated for disabled people to play in, and it is the 2nd biggest sporting event in the world, obviously next to the Olympics. So it was started by Dr. Ludwig Guttmann. I think that's German. He organized the games to honor all the veterans that were coming back from World War II that were permanently injured. So he just got some people together, and they played some games, and they were disabled. And then in 1952, an ex-Dutch serviceman joined, and the games were founded. And another thing is Gallaudet University, and it is the first university that is for only deaf students. It was founded in 1864. There's a lot of universities that are half disabled, half not, and so this one is only deaf people, and that's really cool. And it's located in Washington, D.C., and it is the top deaf school in the U.S., so that's pretty cool. So a couple things that you could do if you ever just see a disabled person. You could just 5 things that are the easy things that you could just do to help a disabled person every day. So number 1, treat them like you would anyone else. Don't treat them like they're different. Just treat them normally. Don't comment. Second, don't treat their disability as something they should be ashamed of, because it's not. They shouldn't. So no one should be ashamed of their disability. The disability doesn't change the person. It's just another mountain they have to climb over. So number 3, stand up for their rights. So Yeah, everybody has the exact same rights, whether you're black, whether you're a woman, whether you're disabled, everybody has the same rights. There's no difference. So when you see a disabled person being discriminated against, just stand up for them. Like, just tell that person to back off, because yeah. Number 4, treat them with the respect they deserve, because everyone deserves respect. Everybody. So treat them with the respect that they deserve. Number 5, ask if they need help before helping them, because some people, because if you see them like crossing the street or something and you automatically just go and start helping them, they may feel like they may feel like you think that they're helpless, and no one likes to feel helpless. I mean, just let them ask you for help. Unless it's like so obvious that they need help or something. I don't know. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation.